Now that we added this user interaction, let's work on that new page which I wanted to add. A new page where we are able to manage our own products, and that of course means that we can add, edit, and delete them there. For that, we obviously need a brand new screen, and that will be the user products screen. Hence the file could be named user products screen.dart, and it'll be a stateless widget with our user products screen widget in there, or as a name. And of course, we import material Dart from the Flutter package. Now, the idea on the user products screen is to show a list of all the products of the user. And for now, that will be all the products we have in this app. Later, once we added authentication and users, we'll be able to differentiate between products by user. For now, we only have one user who owns all the products. And I want to show a list of the products here. And on every product, we should be able to edit or delete it. And of course, I also want to have an option of adding a brand new product. So since this will control the entire page, I'll add a scaffold here because, well, I want to have an app bar and I want to have a background color and so on. And here on the app bar argument, I add the app bar widget as we did it a couple of times already. And we can add a title here, which is a text widget where we say your products or anything like that. Now, of course, beside that, we also might want to have some actions here, or namely at least one action, a plus button, which allows us to go to a new screen where we are able to add a new product. So here I will add an icon button, and that takes an icon as an argument. So an icon widget, and the icon I want to use from the icons package is the add icon. Now, of course, we also have to do something when this gets pressed, and that something will be to navigate to the new product screen. We'll work on that in a second. First of all, let's continue working here on this page, and therefore in the body of that scaffold, I now want to present that list of products in the end. I want to have a little bit of padding around that, so first of all, add a padding widget with a padding of edge insets, all of 8 maybe. Of course, that's always up to you. And then, as a child in the padding, have a list view. Now, since we could theoretically have an infinite amount of products, I'll use the list view builder here to have possible performance improvements for longer lists. And, well, you know how to use that. We need an item count and we need an item builder. Now, the item count here, of course, should take the amount of products we have. Now, for the moment, that simply are all the products we have, and we get them from our products provider, from our provided products object, to be precise. So here I want to set up a listener, and therefore, first of all, we need the provider package, and there the provider Dart file. And then, of course, we need to get access to the products class. We get that from the providers folder, and there products.dart. With these two imports added, we can set up a listener here. We can get our products data here with the help of provider auth, as we did it before in this course, where we then, of course, have to add this generic annotation with the angle brackets and let the provider package know that we want to tap into the products object, the nearest provided products object, and get access to that. So now we're storing that in products data. And here, I also do want to listen, of course, because if we, for example, delete a product, I want to rebuild that list. And obviously, of course, you could therefore also use consumer and only wrap the list view with that instead of the entire widget, because wrapping the entire widget will rebuild the entire widget, even if the app bar doesn't really depend on the products. But of course, for one, you can work around this with a couple of const improvements here like this. Then these widgets will not get rebuilt. Because Flutter is able to detect that they can't have changed. And in addition, this is not too bad. The majority of the page will rebuild. It won't hurt too much if that also rebuilds. But you could use consumer down there if you wanted to. I'm using provider auth here, get my products data. And then with the products data, from there, the items is my list of products. So the length of that list determines how many items or how many list entries I want to render here. The rendering then, as you learned, is done with the item builder, of course. and that gets the context, which I don't need here, hence I add a blank underscore, and then the index for which it's building that entry. Now, of course, the question is, how should a single product look like? Now, we have a product item widget, of course, but that is a grid item and not the list item I want to have here. So I'll add a new widget here, which will be a user product item. And that, as so often, will be a stateless widget, user product item. And there, let's import material Dart. And now here we can determine how a single item should look like in our list of items. And as always, you are totally free to build this however you want. I will use the list tile widget, which is built into Flutter, and there set a title, which should display the name of the product. So for that, let's first of all define which information we want to get here in this widget from outside, and outside will be our user products screen here in the end. Well, I definitely want the title. I also want to show the image, so I want to get the image URL here. And that actually is already all I need here, I think. So let's then add the constructor user product item and set this either with positional or named arguments, up to you. And then we can use the title down there in the title argument or the title place on the list tile. And I also want to add a leading widget or a leading entry here to the list tile. And there I want to use the circle avatar, but now not to show some text, but actually to add a background image. So an image that should be shown inside of that avatar. And that will now be my image URL. Now here's something which we haven't done before. Background image does not take a widget, but an image provider. So it does not take image.network, which would build a new widget, but instead a provider that yields a network image. Sounds strange, but such providers are built into Flutter as well. Instead of image.network, you use network image, one name and one class. And of course, there are equivalents for asset image, for example, in case you have an image which is included in your app. Here we use network image, and that simply takes the URL as an input, and the URL here, of course, is simply image URL. Now on the network image, you can't set up a fit or anything like that because it's not a widget. It's in the end just the object that does the fetching of the image and then forwards it to circle avatar through that background image argument. And circle avatar will do the sizing and so on to size the image into itself. So with that, we also add the image here. The missing piece is a place for us to interact with that item. So edit it or delete it. And for that, I'll add the trailing argument. I, in the end, want to have a row here because I'll have two options. And in that row, I'll add two icon buttons. The first button will show an icon, which is an icon widget, which should be the edit icon, which is this pen icon here. And when we press that, I, in the end, want to, well, start editing this product. The second icon button uses the delete icon, this trash icon, and there, of course, unsurprisingly, I want to, well, delete that product. Now we can also set some colors for these icons. And on the delete icon button, I'll use theme of context and then use my error color, which is some red color. And for the first button here, I'll use theme of context and then simply the primary color. Now let's use that user products product item here in the user products screen widget. So there we first of all need to add an import where we go to the widgets folder and then user product item Dart. And then here, let's create a user product item widget. Now here we need to forward the title and the image URL because these are the two arguments we expect here in our user product item widget. And of course we get that from products data.items, which are our products, for the index for which this list item is being built. And then here simply access the title and of course do the same here for the image URL. And with that, we're building a user products item there. Now we just need to be able to go to that user products screen, and I again want to use named routing for that. So I'll add the good old static const route name here, where I say, or where I have user products / user products as a name. As always, this is totally up to you. And we can now register this here in the main Dart file. For that, let's import screens user products screen. And let's then go down to the route table and use the user products screen.route name as a key. And then we have that builder created by Flutter or called by Flutter, which builds a user products screen widget. And now we can navigate to that. And of course, I want to add an entry in my drawer for that. So in the app drawer, I'll simply copy a list tile with a divider above it and add it after the last list tile here, after the orders list tile. Here I'll say manage products, and maybe use the added icon here as well next to it. And then here we of course don't go to the order screen, but instead we import the user product screen from screens here and then navigate to that by using user product screen.route name. So not by instantiating it, but by using the route name constant here. Back in the application, now we see the new entry here in the side drawer, and if we tap it, well, then we're taken to that user product screen. Now, what's obviously missing here, however, are our products and also a way to go back, so a side drawer. Now let's have a look what's wrong about the products here. We're getting an error, and the error I'm getting seems to be related to sizing, the sizing of something. And actually that should be a problem here in the user products item widget. In that row of icon buttons, this row takes as much space as it can get, and trailing the place where we insert this into the list tile doesn't restrict that size, so that should cause the error. We can simply get rid of that by wrapping this with a container where we set a fixed width here, and a fixed width of 100 pixels should suffice. Now, if we do that, now we have our items here, and that looks now way better. And you see on every item, we have that pen and the trash icon. You also see that image, and if you of course wanted to, you could add a card behind the list tile to have a little bit of a background color and a drop shadow or anything like that. I rather will add a divider between these items and still add the drawer to go back. So to start with the divider, in the user products screen where I render the user product items here, in the end I think it's nice to have a little divider after every item. So we can wrap this into a column here, the user product item, like this, and have a divider after every user product item, like this. So that's a little optical thing here, nice little horizontal lines. Now to also add that drawer on the user products screen, we of course simply go to the scaffold widget there, and anywhere on it, as the first, second, or last argument doesn't matter, you add drawer. And now here I want to use my app drawer, so let's import that from the widgets folder, app drawer Dart. With that import added, let's create our app drawer widget here. And now with that, we also have a way of going back, because now we can open the drawer here too. We can go back to the shop and then back to manage products and so on. With that, we have the products page. Let's now work on the add and edit product page, and of course make sure that the delete button also does something.